During her final monologue, The Ellen Show transformed the set to look exactly like it had 19 years ago when the show first started. There was also a montage of key moments in the show's history, showing the growth in Ellen and her guests over the years. Ellen admitted after the fact that she was just trying to keep her emotions in check, while she thanked her longtime fans for standing by her in light of everything. She started off her monologue saying, quote, "Welcome to our very last show. I walked out here 19 years ago and I said this is the start of a relationship, and today is not the end of a relationship, it's more of a little break." She even shared her struggles with initially getting the show picked up, because at the time networks did not want a gay woman on screen. When speaking about her more recent journey, Ellen said, quote, "If this show had made you smile, if it lifted you up when you're in a period of some type of pain, some type of sadness, anything you are going through, then I have done my job. Because of this platform, we've been able to change people's lives. This show has forever changed my life. It's the greatest experience I've ever had, beyond my wildest imagination." Days before the final show aired, Ellen spoke about her 2020 scandal with The Hollywood Reporter and how that affected her decision to leave. She said the controversy was a very difficult time and said she had been crying every day while filming parts of her last series. But she said she tried to keep the last few weeks as fun as possible because she didn't want to make her anxiety worse. She told the outlet that she originally wanted to end the show 3 years earlier, just before the scandal happened, but she was talked into staying, with Ellen adding that she doesn't have any regrets over her decision to stay, saying, quote, "There was a lot that happened during that time that was unfortunate, but it is what it is. You go through stuff in life and you just keep learning and growing. That's how you have to look at it." And she continued that it all happened for a reason. Even though if she would have ended things when she wanted to, she could have avoided the scandal and kept her perfect reputation. Ellen has decided that now is the right time to stop the show, saying the world is in a quote crazy place and has become very charged. Ellen also said the filming of the final season was a very hard and emotional process and she cried often, adding, quote, "There was a time a couple of months out where I was crying every day. I was really emotional, even though it was my choice and it's the right choice. I knew it was time to end this chapter and do something different, but it still was really emotional." Ellen's final guest was Jennifer Aniston, who was chosen because the Friends actor was the first ever guest on the talk show in 2003. I'm sure Jen was also chosen because she's a very close friend of Ellen's.
The 25-year-old was plucked out of obscurity after a viral video of him performing Lady Gaga's Paparazzi in front of his schoolmates landed him on Ellen's show way back in 2010 when he was just 12 years old. After gifting him $10,000 and a new piano, she signed him to her newly founded record label and promised him and his mother that she would personally guide him on his journey to stardom. Ellen allegedly told him, "I'm going to protect you, I'm going to be here for you, we're going to do this together." Soon after, she seemed to be making good on her promise and hooked him up with high-profile managers, a booking agent, a publicist, and a brand agent. But as his touring schedule became more and more demanding, he says that Ellen started to become domineering and way too controlling. He claimed that her widely rumored wrath seeped into every aspect of his career, and she would often fly into a fit of rage if something wasn't exactly how she wanted it to be. Quote, "She would come in and look at a rack and yell at stylists, berate people in front of me and say, 'This is what you're wearing on the show.' She was just degrading to people." Grayson also recalled a traumatizing incident when Ellen verbally berated him and his mother for not watching a DVD that she sent them. At the time, the then 13-year-old singer was opening for Miranda Cosgrove on tour when Ellen got her hands on an advanced copy of Justin Bieber's Never Say Never documentary. After the performance, Grayson was exhausted and wanted to sleep, but she demanded that he watch it right away because she wanted him to model his career after that of a mega successful pop star like Justin Bieber. When he didn't make viewing the film his top priority, Ellen freaked out and called his mother Lisa and started attacking her, saying, "What type of mother are you? Do you realize that I went out of my way to get this for you and he can't sit down and watch it?" The talk show host also demanded to speak to Grayson and told him, "Disappointed isn't even remotely what I'm feeling right now." As a result, the young star quickly learned that her opinion was the only one that mattered. He said, "My whole week, my whole month, my whole year could change with one text message from her. That was horrible." But things took a turn for the worst when his music began to underperform in 2012. It was then that Grayson said Ellen completely abandoned him, and so did the team that she had assembled as well as Interscope Records. He alleges that she ghosted him and that he couldn't get through to her no matter how many times he called. But despite their fallout, he continued to make appearances on The Ellen Show over the years. interviews, saying whenever I would come on the show, it was such a fake smile. She wouldn't even ask, "How are you doing? How are you holding up?" It was just like, "Here's what we're going to talk about, we'll see you back there." But on stage, she would say things like, "I'm just so proud of you." He said, "That's so messed up that you're now showing the world as if we're so tight, we're so good, but behind the scenes, you are this insanely manipulative person. When I look at the interviews and I look at my eyes, I can see so much anxiety. I can see so much PTSD because I'm just there holding on for dear life going, I need this TV gig." I was 100% faking it, and I felt like she was 100% faking it with me too. Grayson said, "The first part of my career, I owe a lot of thanks to her and to that team, but the reason why I'm here today talking about an album, I owe effing nothing to her because I was the one that had to pull myself up. She was nowhere to be found." The thing is that Grayson's story lines up with a lot of other accusations that have come out against her in recent years. So nothing that he said is really that hard to believe. Everyone knows that Ellen was one of the most popular talk show hosts in the world only a few years ago, but that all came crashing down when a bombshell BuzzFeed article named her as the culprit for creating a toxic work environment. Her staff finally spoke out against her. It was one current and 10 former employees who anonymously gave their true thoughts about her in the article and confirmed the long-running rumors that she was a bully and a downright mean-spirited person. But is she entirely to blame for the fact that Grayson's career never really took off? Not necessarily. In fact, even his mother was able to see it from a different point of view. She told Rolling Stone, "I think that Ellen is a businesswoman, and if something isn't trending the way she wants it to, she's going to put an end to it because it's business for her. It's not warm and fuzzy. I don't think she invited people to be a part of her life or take someone under her wing if she didn't want to see something come out of it."
So a little recap of what happened with Ellen. It all seemed to have started back in February of 2020 when Nikki Tutorials, who was on the show, would admit things weren't as great as she had hoped for. While on a local talk show, Nikki would explain that Ellen was cold and distant when the cameras weren't rolling and that she couldn't use the closest bathroom because it was reserved for the Jonas Brothers. That would piss me off. All in all, people were shocked to hear that maybe the Ellen Show and the host aren't what meets the eye. Of course, prior to this, Ellen had been involved in some controversies or headlines, most notably when she was seen at a football game next to former President Bush laughing, or her little on-air awkward situation with Dakota Johnson when she was invited to the birthday party, but she didn't get the invitation and then she lied. You guys know. Then in March, a comedian, Kevin T. Porter, takes to Twitter with a now viral tweet reading, I quote, "Right now we all need a little kindness, you know, like Ellen DeGeneres always talks about. She's also notoriously one of the meanest people alive. Respond to this with the most insane stories you've heard about Ellen being mean, and I'll match everyone with $2 to @LAFoodBank." At the time of this recording, it's been retweeted over 17,000 times, liked over 69,000 times, nice, and has over 2,000 replies. Within 2 days, Kevin would follow up that he'd be donating a total of $600 to the food bank, meaning there was about 300 stories. However, he couldn't verify which were real or not. Either way, people continued to comment about their past stories or experiences, including a waitress who claimed Ellen allegedly complained to the restaurant's manager that the waitress's nail polish was a little chipped. I mean, that's a little out of hand, no pun intended. Trying to brush things off, Ellen would make a joke on her show on April 6th, comparing her lockdown or stay-at-home experience to jail, which, I mean, that didn't sit well with fans or Twitter users either, who felt the joke was incredibly insensitive. Look at you. Then later in April, it'd be reported that Ellen's employees were being left in the dark about whether or not they'd be continuing working or if they would be getting paid. Although a handful of Ellen's original crew continued to work with her while filming out of her house, the show hired an external company as well. Warner Brothers released a statement claiming that all of Ellen's employees would be getting paid adequately, however at a reduced total amount of hours per week, but employees still felt that Ellen wasn't living up to her be kind persona, as she wasn't doing as much as it seemed other hosts, such as Jimmy Kimmel, was doing for their employees. Things would go from bad to worse when there would be accusations of a toxic workplace, and Warner Media would launch an internal investigation to determine whether the numerous claims against people working at The Ellen Show were legitimate. Following the investigation, 3 producers would be fired after accusations of foul play, with 2 of 3 denying the claims. Ellen would then write a letter to the staff members saying she was, I quote, disappointed to learn about how people felt on set and cited the team's growth as not being able to stay on top of things herself. Of course, this led to rumors that her show would be coming to an end. However, those rumors were quickly put to rest. Ellen would address the allegations and misconduct on air during the September season premiere of the show, which was also her first show after a summer hiatus back at the studio. Her show included a piece in which Ellen explained, I quote, I learned that things happened here that should have never happened. I take that very seriously. I want to say that I'm so sorry to the people who were affected. I know that I'm in a position of privilege and power, and I realize with that comes responsibility. And I take responsibility for what happens at my show. This is the Ellen DeGeneres Show. We've had a lot of conversations over the last few weeks about the show, our workplace, and what we want for the future. We have made the necessary changes, and today we are starting a new chapter. It seemed Ellen was here to stay, and for good. Things continued on, she had some other controversies, then she got COVID in December, leading to a short break from the show. Upon her return in January 2021, it seemed like things were going back to normal for her. And now it seems like her show is coming to an end, after 19 seasons on air. Of course, the biggest question on everyone's mind was, did last year's controversy have anything to do with the decision? Sitting down with The Hollywood Reporter, Ellen explained in depth how everything went down, and it seems like this decision was actually a long time coming. Back in 2018, Ellen had admitted that prior to signing a 3-year deal with Warner Brothers, her wife Portia was encouraging her to move on from the show. Ellen's brother and the Warner Brothers executives, however, were hoping she'd sign on yet again. As we know, she did, but it's been 3 years, and it seems when she signed, it was clear that would be the last time. She originally explained how she wanted to stop after 16 seasons, and they tried to get her to sign on for 4 more years. However, she was willing to only sign on for 1. In the end, they agreed to a 3-year deal. As Warner Brothers explained, they need to give the stations more of a commitment than a 1-year deal for a show. When asked if she had wavered on the idea of ending the show, Ellen explained when they did episode 3000 and everyone was all emotional, Mike Darnell, a producer, asked if she really wanted to end the show, to which she said, as hard as it will be, yes. After explaining as a creative person, you constantly want to challenge yourself, citing her going back to stand-up comedy and hosting the Oscars, she explained, I quote, "I just need something to challenge me, and as great as this show is, and as fun as it is, it's just not a challenge anymore. I need something new to challenge me." But when specifically asked about the allegations and controversy she was involved in the past year, and how it affected her decision, Ellen explained, I quote, "It almost impacted the show. It was very hurtful to me. I mean, very. But if I was quitting the show because of that, I wouldn't have come back this season." She mentioned how at first she thought the stories of people having to chew gum before speaking to her was funny, but then things got out of hand. She didn't want to address them and figured they'd just go away, but as we know, they didn't. In fact, they actually snowballed and got much worse. Now, following her interview with The Hollywood Reporter on May 12th, well, it seems the next day on May 13th, while on the Today Show, her first time on air since making the announcement, Ellen explained how she felt about the workplace allegations made against her. When asked by Today host Samantha Guthrie, I quote, "Did you feel like you were being canceled?" Ellen explained, I quote, "I felt like somebody had some kind of, I really didn't understand it. I still don't understand it. It was too orchestrated. It was too coordinated. People get picked on, but for 4 months straight for me to read in the press about a toxic work environment when all I've ever heard from every guest that comes on my show is what a happy atmosphere this is and what a happy place it is, I don't know how I could have known when there's 255 employees here and there are a lot of different buildings. Unless I literally stayed here until the last person goes home at night." With all that being said, Ellen did also explain how she wished she had known about the issues from her own staff rather than learning about it through the media. I quote her saying, "I do wish somebody would have come to me and said, hey, something is going on that you should know about." Now, lover or hater, you gotta admit, Ellen has done some incredible things over the years and will forever go down in history. 19 seasons, it's a little strange, but hey, it is what it is. Even she mentioned that, saying how when she signed on for 3 more years, they were like, this is gonna be 19 seasons, just do 20. And she was like, no, let's leave it at 19.
Ellen DeGeneres is getting canceled on Twitter again after she made some comments towards Euphoria star Jacob Elordi. The host was interviewing the Australian actor who is also known for his starring role in the Kissing Booth series. But given that Euphoria recently put out a new season, her entire focus was on that show. Although nothing really about what it was like to work with the other actors, no. Instead, Ellen asked some very specific questions about the 24-year-old actor's nude scenes, which really left a lot of viewers angry, and Twitter made sure to let Ellen know. On the show Euphoria, Jacob plays the manipulative teenager named Nate Jacobs, and his character is creepy beyond belief, but he also is in so many nude scenes. DeGeneres touched on this touchy subject and noted just how much he is naked in the series. She then asked him how it felt and if he is ever consulted by the scriptwriters about being nude this frequently. He goes on to say, "You have no choice. Every scene is like he sleeps with this person, he does this with this person naked, but it's like, it gets to the point, I've done so many movies where it's like my character goes to the mall shirtless and you're like, why?" And the real reason why people are upset with Ellen is because of her response to this. To him asking why screenwriters would put him in so many nude scenes, Ellen said, "Well, because look at you, that's why." And the comment caused Jacob to sip awkwardly from his drink as he collected himself. Ellen was attempting to draw a comparison between a man being naked on camera and a woman being naked on camera to see if there were any possible double standards that were happening. She reflected on how a woman would probably be asked about being involved in a nude scene, but everyone was only focused on Ellen sexualizing her guest. One person wrote in the comment section of Ellen's Instagram page, "I guess she didn't get the memo that Jacob is sick of his body being ogled and the center of attention. He's an amazing actor and had some astonishing scenes, maybe talk about that." with another adding, "I was thinking what would happen if Jacob was a girl and Ellen a man, saying the same things to her, like we obviously want to see you naked because of your body." And people were absolutely coming for Ellen in the comment section. Others were calling her show trash, saying that she loves making people feel uncomfortable and that she objectified Jacob for entertainment and ratings. Another unhappy viewer tweeted, "Ellen DeGeneres is trash and we've known that for years now. She loves to make people uncomfortable and clearly Jacob Elordi is no different than anyone else that she has purposely and objectively made feel uncomfortable for entertainment and ratings." And the one thing that Jacob agreed with Ellen on was that by doing so many of these scenes, he has become more comfortable doing them. He also noted that such nudity comes with the territory of his character in this series, who plays an ultra macho masculine jock. He then added that being able to work with these same crew members and having an intimacy coordinator present during filming has all helped him feel more comfortable. He also must have heard about the backlash that Ellen was getting from this interview, so to clear the air, he posted a pic of himself on the show to his Instagram stories and wrote, "I love the Ellen Show."